Now, let's talk about human security in Southeast Asia. In this lesson, we are going to understand the concept of human security, the various opportunities and challenges of human security in Southeast Asia, and to analyze ASEAN's role in human security. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, was founded in 1967 by Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. ASEAN was established with the aim of promoting regional peace, cooperation, and stability. Over time, ASEAN has played a key role in fostering economic growth, social development, and cultural integration among its members. The Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, or TAC, which was implemented in 1976, has highlighted ASEAN's commitment to peace and collaboration. As the region continues to evolve, the concept of human security has gained prominence, shifting the focus from traditional state centric security to the protection of individual rights and well being. Meaning to say, the TAC or TAC, or the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, was established not just to protect the ASEAN member states, but also the ASEAN people. Now, moving on to the challenges to human security in ASEAN. The first one is the diverse political systems. ASEAN consists of countries with a wide range of political systems, from established democracies like Indonesia and the Philippines to more authoritarian regions such as Myanmar. This diversity often complicates the ability to reach a consensus on human security issues, particularly when it comes to human rights, the rule of law, and the protection of freedoms. Next is the economic inequality. This is one of the most significant challenges to human security in ASEAN because of the economic disparity between member states. So, for example, Singapore and Brunei enjoy relatively high levels of wealth and development, as they are the two most developed countries in Southeast Asia, while countries such as Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos struggle with poverty, unemployment, and adequate access to basic services like healthcare and education. This economic gap creates difficulties in achieving inclusive development and equitable access to opportunities that are critical for human security. And lastly, would be the external threats. ASEAN is also confronted with external threats that jeopardize the human security of its people. For instance, the natural disasters that ASEAN is facing, so such as climate change, extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and environmental degradation. In addition to that, another external threat that ASEAN is facing is the territorial territorial disputes between the ASEAN member states and China with the South China Sea. Now, let's move on to opportunities to human security in ASEAN. First is the ASEAN cooperation. Despite political and economic differences, ASEAN has demonstrated the capacity for cooperation through its consensus driven approach, often referred to as the ASEAN way. This approach allows member states to work together to address regional challenges, even if the progress is slow. Next is the economic community. The Economic Community, or AEC, presents a significant opportunity for advancing human security by fostering inclusive economic growth and reducing economic disparities. Through trade liberalization, infrastructure development, and economic integration, ASEAN member states can enhance economic resilience and reduce poverty across the region. This economic cooperation is vital for addressing some of the root causes of human insecurity, such as lack of access to healthcare, education, and jobs. And lastly, is the human rights cooperation. ASEAN has also made significant strides in advancing human rights through the adoption of the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration in 2012. While not legally binding, this document represents ASEAN's commitment to upholding fundamental human rights, including freedom from discrimination, labor rights, and gender equality. Human security in Southeast Asia is a multifaceted issue that presents both significant challenges and opportunities for ASEAN. The region's political diversity, economic inequality, and external threats like climate change create obstacles, but ASEAN's flexible approach to to cooperation, and its ongoing efforts in areas like economic integration and human rights offer hope for overcoming these challenges. To fully embrace human security, ASEAN will need to reconsider some of its traditional practices, particularly its principle of non interference, and find new ways to cooperate on issues that affect the daily lives of individuals across the region. By addressing the root causes of insecurity, ASEAN can contribute to a more stable, prosperous, and inclusive Southeast Asia.
Okay, so now let us proceed to the next lesson of Module 8, which is Major Powers and Southeast Asia. So, Southeast Asia is not just geographically strategic, it is at the center of global power struggle. It is a hotspot of global power competition. And ASEAN isn't passively watching this unfold, it is an active actor and not just a bystander. It has become a diplomatic hub, using forums and regional norms to manage tensions and promote cooperation. But navigating the conflicting ambitions of powers like China, the US, Japan, and India, it challenges ASEAN's capacity to lead effectively. So there are two international relations theories that explain or can explain ASEAN's strategy in this major power competition. One is offensive realism, which sees power conflict as unavoidable, as reflected in the US China rivalry in the region, while liberal institutionalism focuses on cooperation through shared norms, as visible in ASEAN's emphasis on dialogue partnerships like the ARF. ASEAN balances these views. It remains cautious but still committed to diplomacy and multilateralism. To manage external pressure, ASEAN employs several tools, which is institutional balance, bandwagoning, hedging, and co-option. So, for institutional balance, it balances power through collective positions, especially on issues like the South China Sea conflict. Meanwhile, bandwagoning happens when members align with powers for strategic or economic benefits. On the other hand, hedging allows ASEAN to keep multiple options open without full commitment. And co option, which is bringing powers into ASEAN led frameworks, or we may know this as the ASEAN centrality, it seeks to bind them to regional norms, although consensus politics can sometimes limit results. So, moving on to relations with major powers like China, the US, Japan, and India. For China, it is a major economic force in ASEAN, particularly through the Belt and Road Initiative and RCEP, but its military actions raise security concerns in the region. However, the US offers security support, yet its engagement varies depending on the presidency. For example, Trump's exit from the TPP left a gap that China quickly filled. Meanwhile, Japan has long supported ASEAN's development and it remains a counterbalance to China. Lastly, India. So, India's Act East policy provides strategic and economic cooperation without adding pressure to ASEAN member countries to take sides, which makes it a flexible partner. Internally, ASEAN struggles with issues like Myanmar crisis, political divisions, and unresolved border disputes. These issues weaken its unity and slow down response times on other matters. While externally, global trade disruptions challenge ASEAN's integration goals. But still, ASEAN's flexible strategies, such as balancing, hedging, and co option, help it remain relevant in the international system. And to stay effective, ASEAN must strengthen cohesion and decisiveness, ensuring that it can shape, not just survive, regional and global changes and challenges.
Hello, I am Criselda Caringal from Group 3, Module 8, and I will present the effectiveness of the ASEAN Regional Forum. But first, what is the ASEAN Regional Forum? The ASEAN Regional Forum is dubbed as Asia's premier security institution with the goal of promoting peace, security, and stability in the region. It is composed of ASEAN's 10 member states and 17 other countries of both major and medium powers, including the US, Russia, China, and Japan. Its objectives were outlined in its inaugural meeting in Bangkok on July 1994. And according to the ARF portal, its objectives are to foster constructive dialogue and consultation on political and security issues of common interest and concern. And number two, to make significant contributions to efforts towards confidence building and preventive diplomacy in the Asia Pacific region. All participants of the ARF must accede to the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, which is a legally binding code that embodies peaceful cooperation within the region. The impetus for ARF's establishment came in the late 1990s as the world saw the fall of the Iron Curtain in Europe and the withdrawal of US troops in Vietnam. Included here is the withdrawal of US troops from their bases in the Philippines. As the Cold War came to an end, there was suddenly a power vacuum which ASEAN member states wanted to stabilize. Hence, to address complex conflicts that ASEAN cannot address alone and needed the cooperation of countries outside the region, the establishment of the ARF was agreed upon in the 26th ASEAN Ministerial Meeting and Post Ministerial Conference in Singapore on July 1993. The ARF's first inaugural meeting was held in Bangkok on July 1994. Amidst the ever changing regional landscape, the ASEAN Regional Forum's central pillar is to build a region of peace, friendship, and prosperity in its regional security architecture. Only in its 15th anniversary in 2009 did ASEAN leaders map out exactly how these broad goals can be done specifically. In ARF's Vision 2020, their guiding approach is to move at a pace comfortable to all its participants. As per this vision, there will be three phases of ARF's development. The first is confidence building, the second is preventive diplomacy, and the third is elaborating approaches to conflict resolution. Now, is the ARF effective? Unfortunately, many scholars note that the ARF has been largely ineffective and that it has only served as a talk shop between its participating countries. Although its establishment is laudable in achieving its goal of stabilizing the region after the Cold War and being able to engage China as a dialogue partner with regards to security, academics point out that the ARF has not evolved beyond its confidence building role. The glaring evidence can be seen in the ARF's failure to address tensions in the Korean Peninsula, the ongoing civil war in Myanmar, aggravated by the 2025 earthquake, and the increasing harassment and militarization by China in the contested waters of the South China Sea. Although codes of conduct were signed with regards to territorial waters and a 5 point consensus was drafted, only as ASEAN, not solely via ARF, according to Mohammed Hassan, not only has the ARF not formulated any conflict or dispute specific confidence building measure, the general CBMs it has worked on for more than 2 decades have not been able to prevent the security situation in the ARF footprint region from deteriorating further. Although the ARF is dubbed as the region's premier security institution, it has not yet maximized its full potential even after 3 decades of existence. Scholars point out that perhaps the ARF can move towards effective preventive diplomacy by crafting confidence building measures specific to certain disputes and conflicts in the region. A specific group or task force may also be assigned to devise approaches that can address these tensions and conflicts incrementally, instead of proceeding with overarching goals that have no specific measures. Perhaps it is through these changes that the ARF may have a more meaningful contribution to maintaining the region's peace and stability.
Good day. I'm Jerome Mikhail Tipan, and along with Melissa Grace Queres, we are the narrators for this presentation on managing regional economy. This research is a collaborative effort with Ramon Serafiga, Ronaldin Briones, Vera Mandar, and Andrea Carrado. Southeast Asia is a vibrant and diverse region, and at its heart lies ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Today, we explore ASEAN's journey toward economic integration, a path filled with both promise and complex challenges. ASEAN's vision, encapsulated in the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint and the ASEAN Community Vision 2025, is to create a single market and production base. This means the free flow of goods, services, investment, capital, and labor across member states. This ambitious goal aims to boost regional trade, create a more unified market, and enhance ASEAN's competitiveness on the global stage. However, ASEAN is made up of 10 countries, each with its unique characteristics. These include varying levels of economic development, diverse geography and demographics, different political structures, and unique security challenges. This diversity, especially when combined with global events like the recent pandemic, has shaped ASEAN's approach to integration. The ASEAN Way prioritizes patience, inclusivity, and mutual respect. Rather than pressuring members, ASEAN focuses on building trust and confidence, pursuing cooperation at a comfortable pace, and respecting each nation's sovereignty. This consensus-driven approach has its advantages, but it also presents challenges in achieving a truly unified market. ASEAN members have signed numerous declarations and agreements, signaling the commitment to integration. However, these agreements are not legally binding, which can make it difficult to balance national interest with the collective goals of the region. One key challenge is the need for harmonization of standards across member states. Differing perceptions about the cost and benefits of integration, along with competition between similar industries in different countries, can also slow down the process of reaching consensus. For example, the AEC Blueprint 2015 aimed to reduce non-tariff trade barriers, but progress has been slow, with members often choosing easier, less politically sensitive measures. Despite these challenges, ASEAN has made significant progress. Initiatives like the ASEAN Trade Facilitation Framework, the ASEAN Strategic Action Plan for SME Cooperation, and the ASEAN Customs Transit System are important steps toward a more integrated market. The COVID-19 pandemic not only worsened existing inequalities and disrupted progress, but also highlighted the urgent need for greater regional collaboration. In response, ASEAN launched the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework, or ACRF, a strategy designed to maximize the intra-ASEAN market, enhance economic integration, and strengthen supply chain resilience. Recent ACRF initiatives, such as the MOU on non-tariff measures for essential goods, the ASEAN Single Window, Go Digital ASEAN, and the ASEAN SME Academy, demonstrate a renewed commitment to creating a single market. Furthermore, the launch of the ASEAN-wide self-certification regulations and the ASEAN Customs Transit System aims to reduce trade transaction costs and streamline the movement of goods within the region. The Asian Development Bank, in its report on narrowing the development gap, highlighted the economic disparities between the original ASEAN members, ASEAN 6, and the newer members, CLMV. To address this, ASEAN launched the Initiative for ASEAN Integration, or IAI, in 2000. The IAI aims to promote cooperation with more developed members, assisting those in greater need, focusing on areas like human resources, institutional capacity, infrastructure, and competitiveness. The latest IAI work plan for 2021 to 2025 continues to address these issues while also tackling new challenges such as Industry 4.0, gender inclusion, environmental sustainability, and the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework has yielded significant benefits, reinforcing ASEAN's position as a major trade and investment hub and creating a more stable business environment. ASEAN's economic growth is impressive. It has become the world's fifth largest economy and is projected to become the fourth largest by 2030. However, this growth is influenced by external factors. ASEAN's regional stability is closely tied to its relationships with external partners, and rising geopolitical tensions present potential challenges. To achieve its full potential, ASEAN must embrace change and strengthen both local and international collaboration. The East Asia Summit, or EAS, is a crucial platform for ASEAN in promoting regional economic development and integration. The EAS, which includes ASEAN's 10 members plus 8 other major countries, promotes trade, investment, and sustainable development. It also fosters political and security dialogues. A key achievement of the EAS is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which lowers trade barriers and increases economic cooperation among participating nations. The EAS also promotes bilateral and multilateral trade agreements, aligning with ASEAN's goal of creating the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC. Recognizing the importance of long-term prosperity, the EAS addresses sustainable development and the digital economy. This includes promoting investments in e-infrastructures, smart cities, and green energy projects. The EAS also plays a vital role in addressing economic security issues, such as supply chain disruptions and financial instability, and has been crucial in coordinating responses to crises like the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, the EAS enhances political stability in the region by facilitating dialogue and cooperation among its diverse members, helping to manage geopolitical tensions and promote peaceful resolutions. In conclusion, the East Asia Summit, under ASEAN's leadership, is essential for managing the regional economy. By promoting economic integration, sustainable development, and economic security, the EAS contributes significantly to the stability and prosperity of the Asia-Pacific region. As the world faces evolving economic challenges, the role of ASEAN and the East Asia Summit will become increasingly important in shaping the economic future of the Asia-Pacific.
The global economic landscape is constantly shifting like a giant seesaw. For decades, the United States, Europe, and Japan held the top spots. But now, new players like China and India are rapidly rising, creating ripples across the world economy, especially for the vibrant region of Southeast Asia. This region, known as ASEAN, comprising nations like the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand, thrives on trade and connectivity. Understanding these global economic transformations is not just about keeping up, it's about seizing opportunities and navigating challenges in an increasingly complex world. The most dramatic shift has been the meteoric rise of China. Once primarily a manufacturing hub, China has transformed into a global powerhouse in technology, infrastructure, and investment. Its influence on global trade and political alliances, particularly in Southeast Asia, is undeniable. Today, China stands as the world's second largest economy, a major consumer market, and a significant exporter. China's economic ties with ASEAN have deepened significantly. They are now each other's major trading partners, solidified by agreements like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. This partnership aims to boost ASEAN economies through reduced tariffs and better market access. Initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, investing heavily in infrastructure across Southeast Asia, further solidify these connections. However, this growing reliance also presents challenges for ASEAN, including the risk of overdependence on the Chinese economy and concerns over China's increasing influence in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, India is also rapidly emerging as a major global economic player, particularly in technology and service sectors like IT and customer support. With its large population and growing industries, India's role in the world market is becoming increasingly critical. For years, ASEAN has strived to create a unified economic community, the ASEAN Economic Community or AEC. The goal is a seamless flow of goods, services, and investments across borders, boosting regional competitiveness and attracting global investors. However, achieving full economic integration has not been easy. One major hurdle is non-tariff barriers, regulatory differences, licensing issues, and bureaucratic red tape that still slow down trade between member states. Another significant challenge is the varying levels of economic development among ASEAN nations. The gap between more developed economies like Singapore and Malaysia and those still developing like Myanmar and Laos make it difficult to implement uniform economic policies that benefit everyone. While still significant global players, the United States and many European nations are experiencing slower economic growth. Factors like aging populations, persistent inflation, political instability, and the lingering effects of global events like the pandemic and the Ukraine conflict are contributing to this slowdown. This slower growth can lead to reduced demand for exports from ASEAN countries and potentially lower investment from the West. However, this also presents unique opportunity for ASEAN. Western investors and firms are now looking for supply chain redundancy and cost-effective production location in less volatile regions. ASEAN with the right infrastructure, skilled workforce, and political stability is well positioned to attract this investment and become a hub for future global production. The intensifying power struggle between the United States and China places ASEAN in a delicate and challenging position. Think of it as trying to stay balanced between two massive forces. China's Belt and Road Initiative has brought significant investment to ASEAN, funding vital infrastructure projects. While beneficial, these projects also come with potential long-term debt and increased political influence. The United States, seeking to counter China's growing influence, offers security alliances and alternative investment opportunities to ASEAN nations. ASEAN prefers to remain neutral, engaging with both powers to maximize benefits while maintaining its strategic autonomy. However, the South China Sea dispute, where the U.S. often backs ASEAN nations against China's territorial claims, makes this balancing act increasingly difficult. ASEAN must navigate this rivalry carefully, leveraging diplomacy and economic diversification to avoid being caught in the crossfire. Beyond geopolitical tensions, two major trends will define ASEAN's future: rapid technological advancement and the urgent need to address climate change. ASEAN's digital economy is booming, with e-commerce, fintech, and digital payments transforming the way people live and do business. However, a digital gap persists, with some areas still lacking basic internet access. Bridging this divide is crucial to ensure that the benefits of digitalization are shared across the region. Climate change possesses a significant threat to ASEAN's long-term sustainability. Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and agricultural disruptions are serious risks for many member nations. While ASEAN has taken steps to promote renewable energy and environmental policies, stronger regional cooperation and decisive action are essential. In this shifting global landscape, ASEAN unity is more critical than ever. A strong and connected ASEAN can negotiate better trade deals, attract more investment, and avoid being dominated by any single major power. By speaking with one voice, ASEAN can also advocate for its interests on global issues, from fair rules for the digital economy to collaborative efforts in combating climate change. So, what should ASEAN focus on to thrive in this new era? Firstly, economic integration is essential. Reducing non-tariff barriers and establishing fair policies will create a more vibrant and competitive regional marketplace. Secondly, strategic autonomy is crucial. ASEAN must skillfully balance its relationships with major powers like the US and China, maintaining its own identity and priorities through diplomacy and dialogue. Finally, investing in digital and sustainable growth is critical. Bridging the digital divide and tackling climate change will build a competitive and resilient future for the region, fostering innovation and long-term prosperity. The transformation of major economic powers presents both challenges and exciting opportunities for ASEAN. By embracing unity, focusing on strategic priorities, and adapting to the changing global landscape, ASEAN can not only survive but thrive in the 21st century, emerging as a vital and influential player on the world stage. The journey ahead is full of potential, and the world watches it with anticipation as ASEAN charts its course.